Once upon a time, in a quiet village surrounded by tall mountains, there lived a young man named Elias. Elias was known for his endless curiosity and his love for learning. He wanted to do many things: paint, write, study the stars, and even build machines. But there was a problem. Elias found it very hard to stay focused. Every time he started something, his mind would wander, and soon he would jump to another task without finishing the first. His days were full of half-finished projects, and this made him frustrated. One evening, as Elias sat by the fire, his grandfather noticed his troubled face. "What weighs on your mind, Elias?" he asked. Elias sighed and told his grandfather about his struggles. "I want to do so much, but I can't seem to finish anything. My thoughts are like leaves in the wind, always moving, never settling." His grandfather nodded slowly. "Focus is like a river," he said. "If it flows in one direction, it can carve through mountains. But if it splits into many streams, it becomes weak and shallow." Elias thought about this. "But how do I keep my focus from splitting?" he asked. His grandfather smiled. "There are ways, but they require patience and discipline. Let me tell you a story. Long ago, in a distant land, there was a great archer named Rohan. Rohan was famous for never missing his target. People traveled from far and wide to learn his secret. One day a young boy asked him, "Master Rohan, how do you always hit the center of the target?" Rohan handed the boy a bow and an arrow. "Shoot," he said. The boy drew the bow, but before he could release the arrow, Rohan suddenly clapped his hands loudly. The boy flinched and the arrow flew far off course. Rohan then picked up his own bow. He drew the string, and just as he was about to release, the boy shouted and waved his arms. But Rohan's arrow still struck the center of the target. The boy was amazed. "How did you do that?" he asked. Rohan replied, "A focused mind does not waver, no matter what happens around it. Before I shoot, I see nothing but the target. I hear nothing but my breath. I think of nothing but the arrow's path. Distractions are like the wind. They will always be there, but they must not move you." Elias listened carefully. "So focus is about ignoring distractions?" he asked. His grandfather shook his head. "Not ignoring, rising above them. The first step is to know what you truly want. A man who chases two rabbits catches neither." The next morning, Elias decided to change his ways. He began by choosing just one thing to work on each day. Instead of trying to paint, write, and study all at once, he picked writing and committed to it for 2 hours without stopping. At first it was hard. His mind kept drifting to other things. But he remembered Rohan the archer. He imagined his writing as the target and kept his mind fixed on it. Slowly he noticed he was getting better. Another thing Elias did was to remove distractions. He realized that his cluttered workspace made it hard to think clearly. So he cleaned his desk, keeping only what he needed. He also noticed that noise broke his concentration, so he found a quiet corner in the house where he could work undisturbed. But the biggest challenge was his own thoughts. Ideas for other projects would pop into his head while he was writing. Instead of jumping to them, he started keeping a small notebook nearby. Whenever a new idea came, he would quickly write it down and return to his work. This way, he didn't lose the idea, but he also didn't let it steal his focus. Weeks passed, and Elias began to see progress. His writing improved, and for the first time, he finished a short story. He felt proud. But he also noticed something else. His mind felt calmer. The constant rush of thoughts had slowed down. He realized that focus was not just about work. It was about training the mind to be still. One day, a traveling philosopher visited the village. Elias went to hear him speak. The philosopher talked about the Stoics, ancient thinkers who believed in mastering the mind. He said, "The outside world is full of chaos, but inside you can find stillness. A disciplined mind is stronger than any storm." Elias approached him after the talk. "How do the Stoics stay focused?" he asked. The philosopher smiled. "They practice attention. Every morning they remind themselves of their purpose. They ask what is truly important, and throughout the day they return to that question. They also accept that distractions will come, but they choose not to follow them." Elias took these words to heart. He started a new habit. Every morning he would sit quietly and think about his goals. He would ask himself, "What is the one thing I must do today?" This simple practice helped him stay on track. Months later, Elias had changed. He still had many interests, but now he knew how to give each one its proper time. He no longer felt scattered. His friends noticed the difference too. "You seem so calm now," they said. "How do you do it?" Elias would tell them the story of Rohan the archer and the wisdom of the Stoics. But the most important lesson Elias learned was this: focus is not about locking yourself away from the world. It is about knowing what matters and giving it your full attention. Life will always have distractions, noises, worries, temptations. But a focused mind can move through them, like an arrow flying true to its mark. And so, Elias continued his journey, not as a man pulled in many directions, but as one who moved forward with clarity and purpose. The villagers no longer saw him as the restless dreamer, but as someone who brought his dreams to life, one focused step at a time. The end.